بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وقدوتنا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة وأزكى التسليم. اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Everybody hearing me? Okay.
Walaikum assalam. Yes.
Okay. We had a little bit of a power outage here for a second because of the storm. So I just want to make sure that everything on the tech side is going through. And if it stops for some reason on the Zoom class, if it becomes slow or garbled, just let me know in the chat box, and then I'll probably cut out the live stream. That usually speeds up the connection a bit. Okay, let's get to it. Previously, we had covered the dialogue, and we had just extracted the main things that this lesson was trying to teach us. Okay, which pretty much the main thing it has to do with using feminine forms. Okay, so we've seen what feminine forms look like when it comes to nouns, asma, right? The single letter that indicates femininity, whether that's like actual gender or just linguistic gender, is the ta marbuta, right? In asma, in nouns. And very similarly, the single letter that indicates femininity, feminine gender, in verbs is also a ta, but ta maftuha, the other type of ta. Okay. By the way, for your Quran and spoken Arabic reference, the difference between these two in pronunciation is that the ta maftuha is always pronounced, right? Whereas the ta marbuta, if the word ends on it and your speech is ending on it, then you're going to pronounce it like aha. It's supposed to be aha. It's got a little flat top there. It got squished. However, if you're continuing speech after the ta marbuta, then it's going to be pronounced like a ta maftuha, like a normal ta, right? So if we drop you off in Medina right today, you know, and you say, you want to get a guy named Hamza's attention, it's going to be, Ya Hamza, right? And you'll know, because you're a good student of classical Arabic, that it's actually Ya Hamza too, right? That's literally what it is, Ya Hamza too. But no one ever says that because we end our speech here. Therefore, the ta marbuta is pronounced like a ha in actual speech, and that goes for the Quran as well. So, Ya Hamza, Hamza. And you can hear the difference in some of the ayats of the Quran that end with ta marbuta. If you were to continue through them to the next ayah, then you would have to pronounce it like a ta. Al-Qari'ah, Mal-Qari'ah, Al-Qari'atu Mal-Qari'ah. Right? So that's a brief aside. That's the first thing that they want you to be aware of. So we have the ta, the feminine ta, in nouns and in verbs. So that's the second kind of revelation about this particular lesson, is that now we're starting to get more into jumla fi'liya, into verbal sentences, sentences that begin with a verb. We talked about the parts of a jumla fi'liya, the fi'l, the fa'il, and the maf'ul. And we're conjugating, we're just starting to get our feet wet in conjugation, right? So we're starting with, you know, sort of dhahaba as an example. He went. Okay, we're dealing in the past tense, the madi, past tense verbs. This is conjugated for he, masculine singular, past tense, went, third person. Okay, and what we benefited from this dialogue was that now we have another conjugation pattern that we've learned. Dhahabat, slap a ta marbuta, excuse me, not a ta marbuta, a ta maftuha on the end of that, and it has a sukoon. And now it is she went. It is conjugated for the feminine singular third person past tense. Now, one could say, wait a second, the endings are changing. Isn't that the same thing as showing grammar? Isn't it the same as declination or i'rab? And the answer would be no, it's not. Because the definition of i'rab, or declining words in the Arabic language, is changing the endings of the words ... to reflect their grammatical case. So if something is marfu', then it has a dhamma or a waw, for example. If something is majroor, then it has a kasra or a ya, for example, etc., etc. Whereas the endings that we're changing here have nothing to do with grammatical case at all. They have to do with the person that is performing the action, or the person who is establishing the meaning of the verb, right? Dhahaba, dhahabat. And as we get more conjugation, I'm going to teach you the hand trick that I taught most of your kids in Arabic class, in order to organize in your head how to conjugate Arabic verbs, and that will be, inshallah, beneficial. So that's the main thing that we took from the dialogue. The other thing, which was kind of like just to see the mountain over the horizon, was to begin talking about sarf, and sarf is Arabic morphology, or we should say morphology. So how does morphology work in Arabic? By the way, for those who missed it, morphology is the regular manipulation of words on regular patterns to achieve meanings. So we said, for example, in English, if we have the verb to bake, and then we want to talk about the person who's doing that, then we call that person a bake plus R is a baker, right? That's what morphology is. It's not conjugation, okay? Because it's not talking about he bakes. That would be conjugation. She bakes. Baker is morphology, if you're looking for the difference between the two. And so we learned that Arabic verbs have 10 forms, and we just looked at 2, okay? And our standard verb that we kind of use as a pattern is fa'ala, which means to do. So our form 1, and usually in English they're represented by Roman numerals, our form 1 verb is fa'ala, and this is most of the verbs that you've learned this far. Fa'ala, dhahaba, jalasa, kharaja, right? These sorts of verbs are on pattern 1. And then we learned pattern 2, which is simply this, but to double the middle letter. Fa'ala. So with a shadda on the middle letter, whatever it happens to be in that particular verb. So jalasa becomes jallasa. Alima becomes allama. Dhahaba becomes dhahaba, etc., etc. Now, what meaning is achieved by doubling this middle letter? There's 3 possible meanings that are achieved. Let's see if I can write it out here. So the first is to make something that is intransitive transitive. Okay, what on earth does that mean? Okay, transitive and intransitive there. Does the verb require an object or not? So he sits. Does it require an object? No. He sits is a verb that doesn't need an object, right? So jalasa has no object. Okay, now if we double that middle letter and say jallasa, now it means not he sits, but he makes someone else sit. He sat someone down, right? So that's the first meaning that's achieved by doubling the middle letter. The second has to do with intensity. Okay, so if we say kasara, which is to break, kassara, if we double the middle letter, means to shatter, right? Kadhiba in the Quran means to lie. Kadhaba means to deny, to reject constantly and consistently. And that's the third meaning, which kind of bleeds over into the second one, which is also repetition or frequency, we could say. right? Something that's done over and over and over again. And you talk about somebody like Abu Talib, or somebody like, even like worse, like Abu Lahab. Okay, we're not talking about just kadhiba form one. We're like kadhaba, like multiple opportunities, rejected the truth. Fir'aun, kadhaba, right? Kadhab, right? And so that's the idea. That was kind of something that I chose to introduce you all to now, because we had a word that was based off of these sorts of morphological patterns in the dialogue. But this is something that's a very, very important thing in Arabic. It's something that organizes the entire Arabic language for you, and it's something that will benefit you just to even have it on your radar at this point. However, it is a little bit advanced, and so if it's not immediately intuitive or seems very complicated and convoluted, no worries just yet. Okay, I believe we read this, if I'm not mistaken. Did we? كيف حالك يا أبي كيف حالك يا أمي أين ابنك يا زينب ذهب للمسجد أين بنتك يا آمنة. No, we didn't? Okay, let's do it. So, number one, Sheikh family. Someone from the Sheikh family do number one, and somebody else from the Sheikh family do number two.
كيف حالك يا أبي؟
كيف حالك يا أمي?
Very good. And that should be beyond translating at this point. Good work. Number three, Muhammad Mu'tasim.
أين 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 ابنك أين ابنك يا زينب؟
Very good.
إلى المسجد.
Yes, good. So, who are we asking? Okay, notice, and this is how they did this here. Check this out. Wait, what is Ain ibnuka? Now, we read as Ya Zainabu, so now we know that we actually have to go back and say Ain ibnuki, because we're talking to a female, right? However, who are we asking about? We're asking about her son, right? And so when we're talking about her son, it's dhahaba, masculine, right? It doesn't matter that we're talking to a female. Who we're talking about is a male. So we're saying dhahaba, as opposed to number four, as we will see. Sister Arum and brother Muhammad Tariq, could you please split number four?
أين ابنتك يا آمنة.
Good.
السلام عليكم.
Walaikum salam.
ذهبت إلى المدرسة.
Dhahabtu or dhahabat?
ذهبت إلى المدرسة.
There you go. Excellent work. And the difference, just that little thing. Dhahabat, dhahabtu. Dhahabtu means I went. That's conjugation for first person singular. I went. Dhahabtu. Dhahabat is third person feminine singular. She went. So to look at that, just little tiny difference on the end, we completely change the meaning. Now, Sister Arum did the colloquial thing where she said, Ya Amina, but we know that classical Arabic, this is going to be Ya Amina too. Okay, just to point that out. And now that we're speaking to Amina, we're going to have to make the possessive pronoun kaf agree with who we're talking to. Aina bintu ki. Bintuki. Okay, so we're asking about her daughter. Here we were asking about the son. Here we're asking about the daughter. Okay. Ya Zainabu, ya Aminatu. We're talking to females in both examples. However, whom we're asking about changes. Aina ibnuki, Aina bintuki. And so the response has to correspond to the gender of who we're talking about. Dhahabat, meaning that the daughter of Amina, dhahabat, went ila al-madrasati. Very good. And these are masjidi and madrasati have a kasra on the end because they're majroor, because they are part of a prepositional phrase. Good. Can we split number? Do we have more? Let's see if I scroll down here. Oh, we do. Okay, so no need to conserve space. Number 5, let's do Sister Sahar.
Assalamu alaikum. So, liman هذه الساعة الجميلة أهي لك يا فاطمة نعم هي لي.
Fantastic. Now, this is interesting enough to translate. So, would you mind translating for us?
Yeah. لمن who يعني who is this beautiful watch for?
Yes, literally yes. We would probably say in English, whose is it? But yes, you got the meaning.
أهي لك يا فاطمة. Is this for you, O Fatima?
Yes.
نعم هي لي. Yes, this is for me.
Yes, fantastic. And colloquially, we would say this is mine, right? This is asking about possession. But literally, li means for, so that's literally correct. Now, I'm going to pick on you just a little bit because you said liman hadhihi sa'atil jamilatu. So, what is the grammar of, or in what grammatical case and why is a sa'ati? Why does it have kasra?
I was thinking before, I was trying to put kasra, but I thought that it is, I know that this is a nominal sentence, and it just came in my mind that it is also a feminine word, nominal sentence, and saati, because it is talking like yani asking a female, that's why.
MashaAllah. So you 2 out of 3. It was right, wrong. So yes, nominal sentence. Yes, feminine.
Yeah.
But what does that have to do with the final haraka? Does every time that we have a feminine noun, does it end in a kasra?
No.
No, because
Feminine, no.
right here. Right? Jamila too is also feminine. It's also
Yeah.
part of the nominal sentence. By that logic, it should also have a kasra.
Yeah.
So recall that, okay, you said something very, very important. It's a nominal sentence. Yes. What's the default grammatical case of a nominal sentence?
The default.
What does it start out as?
Oh, okay. Alif lams, because it's definite.
Okay, forget about that. Forget about definite, indefinite. The we have, you said it's a nominal sentence, and by nominal sentence, we mean jumla ismiya. Right? Jumla ismiya has 2 parts, mubtada, khabar. And each of those 2 things, mubtada, khabar, have a default grammatical case. Okay? And it happens to be the same case, which is nice. So what's the default grammatical case for both the mubtada and the khabar?
It has to be marfu'.
Yeah, it has to be marfu'. Unless there's something in the sentence that affects that word directly that would make it majroor. Okay? Now, there's a couple things apart that are in the sentence that are tricky, that would sow doubt in anyone that was not confident about their grammar. So I'm very glad that you said what you said and that we can go down. Doubt number 1. Look at li. Li is a letter, a preposition, that does render nouns majroor. It's true. That happens, right? If we would say li plus kitab, it would be li kitabin. Or li plus el kitab, lil kitabi. So that is a correct instinct that you had. However, it is broken up by men, and men is mebni, meaning it doesn't ever change. It's not going to be menu or mena or many. No. It's always going to be men. And so this li would have performed work on men, but men is fixed, and so the work is over. Li will not ever affect anything after that. All right? Its work is done. It's like dominoes. Arabic grammar is like dominoes. If you set up a whole line of dominoes on a table, and then let's say you take out 3 in the middle, it's going to knock over the thing after it, and then at a certain point, it's just going to fall flat on the table, and it's not going to reach the next one, right? So this is exactly what happens here. Men is like that gap. You've got something affecting everything after it, and then men cuts off the work that li does. Okay? That's the first doubt. So we responded to the first doubt. Men absorbs the work of li, so li is not going to affect anything after it. So we don't have to worry about li making anything majroor after it. The second doubt is, we just said hadihi, right? And so it sounds nice phonetically to be hadihi sa'ati. Oh, it rhymes, right? That should be correct, right? But why is hadihi with a kasra? Is it with a kasra because of a grammatical reason, or is it because of a phonetic reason? And by that I mean, is it ever going to be hadihu, hadiha, hadihi, or is it just always going to be hadihi? And the answer is the latter. It's always going to be hadihi. It's fixed, right? Which means that it's not going to affect what comes after. So we're not going to be rhyming a sa'a with hadihi, even though it sounds pretty, right? Hadihi is actually marfu' in the sentence, right? This is jumla ismiya. It's actually marfu'. It's in the nominative case, even though it doesn't demonstrate that case because it's fixed upon its kasra, right? So that's the second doubt. So that's why you wanted to read it as sa'ati, and that's a perfectly reasonable, logical thing to do, unless you were super confident 100% that as-sa'atul jamilatu was part of the normal the mubtada, and so it had to be marfu'. So the correct is as-sa'atul jamilatu, which is interesting because you knew that al-jamilatu had to be marfu', right? So if this is sifa mawsuf, this is an adjective and the noun it describes, then they have to agree, right? We have alif lam, we have alif lam. We have feminine tamarbuta, we have feminine tamarbuta. We have singular, we have singular. And so if we have dhamma and we're confident about this dhamma, then we also have to have this dhamma. 4 things. Any questions about that? Is that clear to everybody? That's a really, really nice, number 5 is a really, really nice like review exercise. Any questions about any of that? Okay, then we move on. Number 6, Sister Musarrat.
أهذا قلمك يا محمد؟ لا هذا قلمك أنت.
Very nice. Okay, now your text, I recall, is just a little bit different. So you have a hadha.
Oh, sorry, I should actually look at the screen.
It's no
Yes, I have a hadha.
It's very interesting to see the differences.
So what's on the screen? It would be, it would be the same though, right?
Would it?
Qalam, is this, okay, so what I have is this pen, is this your pen, O Muhammad?
Mm-hmm.
Or Muhammad, not, we wouldn't say O. And the one on the screen would be, sorry?
I was saying, let's all pretend we're Shakespearean actors. We can say, "Oh, Muhammad."
Okay. So I think the one in my book would be, is this your pen, Muhammad? And the one on the screen would be, is this pen yours, Muhammad?
Good, right? Because aqalamuka hada ya Muhammad. Exactly. The emphasis is going on the thing that's directly adjacent to the question word, right? So if it were ahada qalamuka, then we would imagine somebody who's sitting down at a table with 100 pens, and they're looking for Muhammad's pen, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, "Is this your pen? Is this your pen? Is this your pen?
Is this your pen?"
Right.
Like, okay. Mm-hmm.
Right. Whereas qalamuka hada is like, the thing is that
yours, right?
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And okay, so check out the response. So this response is interesting. La hada qalamuka anta. Oh, we have our first example of this kind of device in Arabic, which is we use this, I think, in English somewhat. If you are emphasizing, right? So if we just said hada qalamuka, it said, No, it's yours.
Be complete, yeah.
But he's saying it's like, this is unexpected, right? This defies expectation that someone would take their own pen and suppose that it was someone else's,
Oh, okay.
right? And so because it defies that expectation, it deserves some emphasis. And so to say now we have the possessive pronoun kaf, and then the subject pronoun enta after it is much, much stronger, right? لا هذا قلمك أنت. Like this, none of this is, that's your pen. Like,
So it's like saying your own.
yeah, it is like that. It is like saying your own pen. Proprio in Italian, right? Like su proprio. Yeah, something like that. But the point is added emphasis. If there were no expectations, then لا هذا قلمك is enough. But because this is a piece of irony, five expectations,
Kalamka means in that pen.
it's
Excuse me.
Sorry?
emphasis.
See, if there is no anta,
Yes,
the meaning is the same.
yes,
Kalamuka.
yes. Without enta, meaning is the same. Correct. Enta is added emphasis.
Emphasis.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Allah does this in the Quran all the time. All the time. When he says, it also, okay, here, I'm going to type it out before giving you an example from the Quran. So it's both emphasis and exclusivity, right? Like it can only be your pen. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ula'ika hum al-muflihun, or whatever, you know, hum al-sadiqun, whatever it is in the particular ayah. That hum, which means they, right? It's the same thing as a subject pronoun. It's extra in the sense that it's not essential to the sentence, but adding it has a particular meaning which adds emphasis and exclusivity. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ula'ika humul muflihun, it's that they and they alone are the successful. Or maybe we could say they are the truly successful ones, right? Which again gets back to like dealing with somebody else's incorrect supposition or assumption, and which is exactly how Allah uses it in the Quran, because certain people may assume that a certain person is successful, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala often is correcting this false belief, like, no, that's not the type of person who is a success. It's actually these other people, you know, they are the true, you know, ones who are successful. So this is a device, or a, what can we say, a phraseology, or whatever you want to say, a tactic that is very, very common in Arabic. And we have English equivalents, sort of, more or less. Okay, good stuff. Back to the Sheikh family, number 7. Just one of you do number 7, then the other one can do the next one.
تلك السيارة الجميلة التي خرجت الآن من المدرسة للمدير.
MashaAllah. Fantastic. Well read. Okay, what does it mean?
I've been trying to figure that out.
You got half credit. MashaAllah. You read it very well.
But this car, this beautiful car.
Okay, tilka is this or that?
That beautiful car.
Yep.
And allati is that beautiful car when. So I don't know what allati is.
Allati is a relative pronoun, right? So the one that, right? Or we can say that or which. So kharajat. Okay. We'll get to this in a second. So kharajat means to leave or exit. So
and
the one that left.
The car is feminine, so they're talking about kharajat.
That beautiful car that just left now.
Yes.
Belongs to.
No.
Yeah.
From.
Where did it leave? Where the car leave?
From the school.
Yep.
Is the teachers.
That's right. Or al-mudir is the principal, right?
Yes.
So yeah. So you're sitting. You're talking outside the school, and then here comes the Bugatti, right? And it's leaving the school, and this is what you would say, right? تلك السيارة الجميلة التي خرجت الآن من المدرسة للمدير. And that's exactly it. You know, that beautiful car that just left now from the school belongs to the principal. Now, here's the $1 million question. If kharajat is the proper conjugation for third person singular feminine, what on earth is it doing with a kasra?
Because of allati.
Nope. Good guess.
Because it's a feminine. Sayaratu is feminine.
Okay, that's why the ta is there. That is why the ta is there 100%. It's kharajat instead of kharaja. Yes. But I'm saying that when we had dhahabat before, the feminine conjugation has a ta at the end, and that ta has a sukun on it. Here, it has a kasra. Case, no.
Because there's a ye before it. That's why.
Where are you talking about?
Allati.
Allati. So your answer is the same as Dr. Zia? So it's just as wrong.
That's
Is
wrong.
it the al-an? It doesn't. If it was kharajat and then it would be awkward or something over there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Be more specific than awkward. You're right. What exactly would it be?
It will be kharajatat allati. It's too many.
Yes. Fantastic. Excellent, Asma. So we have a Hamzatul Wasl, okay? And we have a lam. We know the rules of Hamzatul Wasl. It's in the middle of speech. We're not going to pronounce it. We're going to act like it's not there. So if we had a ta with a sukun followed by, in practicality, a lam with a sukun, we would have a consonant cluster. Oh, no. And Arabic says, no, la yajuz. Consonant clusters are no good. No bueno. Can't do it. And so the rule is, if we have a consonant cluster, then the first letter in that consonant cluster will take on a kasra due to phonetic reasons, nothing to do with grammar, due to phonetic reasons in order to break up that consonant cluster. Okay, kharajatil ana. Why did they choose kasra? Why not dhamma? Why not fatha? And that's simply because verbs cannot ever be majroor. Verbs cannot ever be majroor. The idea of the genitive case, the jar, the majroor, it's exclusive to nouns. We said by definition, the genitive case is talking about the relationship between nouns, whether that relationship is location, whether it's time, whether it's possession. It's nouns. And so there will never, ever be a verb that is in the genitive case. It's impossible. So, because it's impossible, because it doesn't apply, the logic is that it's a safe one to just give it a kasra, and everybody's going to realize that that can't possibly have anything to do with grammar, that it must just be something phonetic in order to break up the sounds. So, kharajatil ana min al-madrasati lil mudiri. Is that clear to everybody?
Why does al-an have a fatha?
On the noon or where?
Yeah, on the noon.
Because it's a dharf. It's a preposition of time.
So it always has a fatha?
The default. With al-ana in particular, I believe al-an is mabni. Yes.
Okay.
I believe al-ana is mabni. Some others, like for example, qabla, the default is fatha, ba'da. But there are some circumstances in which they will change their endings, like min ba'di, min qabli, right? However, they all start out by default having a fatha. That's prepositions of time and place. Good stuff. Anything else?
So it wouldn't be what if it was another letter, not al-an? Would that kharajati still be there because of the al-lati? Or
Very good question. Okay, so let's imagine that al-an isn't in here. Okay, if al-an is not in here, then it goes back to being sukun. خرجت من المدرسة للمدير. That's great. Fantastic thinking. التي خرجت من المدرسة للمدير. Why? Because the meme, which would now be the next letter, has a haraka. It has a vowel. It does not have a sukun. It eliminates the problem of having a consonant cluster, and so it can keep its sukun. That's fantastic. Good job. Another example of this avoiding of consonant clusters, and we've mentioned this before, is in Surah Al-Ikhlas, right? قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. If we run together the first and second ayahs, we don't stop. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ إِلَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. Because ahadun with the tanween ends with a noon with a sukun. And then the next word is Allah Azza wa Jal, which begins with a lam with a sukun. And so to break up those two words, that's why we say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. And it affects the rules of tarqiq and tafkhim. But that's for tajweed class. Okay. Good stuff. Okay, number 8. If there's no other questions, number 8. You two managed to split number 7 anyway, mashallah. One did the reading, the other did the breaking down. So let's go to Muhammad Mu'tasim for number 8.
مهندس أنت يا سيدي.
Good.
لا أنا طبيب.
Very good. What does that mean?
Are you the engineer, Said?
Okay, good. The engineer?
Are you an engineer?
Yes, fantastic. Because we have tanween. Tanween is the indefinite article. And okay, what's Sayyidi? Okay, so Sayyid is master, literally. Literally, Sayyid means master. Sayyidi, my master. This is an honorific, right? This is something that we say in Arabic culture, you know, to say like Mr. Excuse me, sir, right? Sayyidi. And it's been shortened in places such as Morocco and Algeria to Sidi. You've probably heard maybe Arabs say Sidi. This is where it comes from. It's Sayyidi, but they've just made it easier to pronounce by saying Sidi. La ana tabibun. No, I am a doctor. Very good. Okay, and let's go to Sister Saha for number 9, and then we'll end there.
So الطبيبة أنت يا سيدتي. لا أنا مدرسة.
Very good. Excellent. So we have الطبيبة. Again, the tanween is the sign of the indefinite article. It's instead of a or an in English, we have the tanween in Arabic. So الطبيبة أنت يا سيدتي. So now we have Mrs. or Miss or, you know, my lady. Probably like most literally translated, my lady. لا أنا مدرسة. I am a teacher. Very, very good stuff. Anyone have any questions about anything? Good lesson. We're making good progress. Okay, so next class we have this to look forward to. We're going to be doing some fill in the blanks, keeping track of the difference between whom we're talking to and whom we're talking about, right? We saw that just a second ago in some of the other exercises. So we need to distinguish, even if we're talking to a man or to a woman, if we're talking about someone of the different gender, that has to be reflected in our nouns, in our verbs, etc., etc. So that's what we'll be working on. next time. Great job, everybody. Hope you have a good night. Stay safe out there with the weather. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So.